quarter when nobody could score is a first quarter only a mother could love. The numbers haven't increased much in the first half. There's Kawhi for 2 of his 15. It is a 44-40 game. Toronto's got the lead on Philadelphia in Game 7, number 135 in NBA history. The winner moves on to take on the Milwaukee Bucks. Welcome, everybody. American Express halftime report, Ernie Johnson with Shaq, Kenny, and Charles. And Chuck, in the pregame show, you talked about how Philly should defend Kawhi Leonard. What have you seen in the first half? A half in which Kawhi has 15, but just 6 out of 16 shoots.
Yeah, Kawhi didn't play. He did not play well the first half. I thought he was rushing it. He had a couple wide open threes that he left short. I thought he was a little bit too aggressive, but I got no problem with it, Ernie, because when you're a superstar in a Game 7, you got to bring it, baby.
How about what Philly's doing defensively against?
They pushing everything toward the basket. He got some good shots, but like I say, that's not. I just love his aggressiveness because those guys are following him. Those other role players are playing with aggressive. You know, a lot of times those guys with Toronto, they play tentative. But if and Shaq and Kenny knows this, if your leader is aggressive, the rest of them boys are going to follow. And that's what I saw in the first half, on a bad first half for both teams.
Yeah, American Express teammates, you'll see Kawhi Leonard on the board. By the way, he's missed his last 13 three-point attempts. He's 6 out of 16 in the first half. Siakam 9 on 3 of 7 shooting. Does have 7 rebounds in the first 24 minutes, which brings us to the Jet. What you got?
Well, you know, as aggressive as Leonard was, you know, I also thought Siakam was as patient.
Oh!
Go, you got it!
Check the tape.
I didn't want to go through the screen.
Yeah, that's all right, dog.
I saw the screen move.
Yeah.
You went through the screen for a win?
Yes, I did. You got to run through the tape.
Losing streak
I'm not running through the screen.
Oh, my goodness. Jet, you've lost.
It's to the top step.
No,
it's not. It's the screen. Cut it out.
No.
You don't want it, Kenny. You don't want it.
Come on, it's Game 7.
I'll say it again, the patience of Siakam, because a lot of times he had the ability to take open shots. Now, freeze it here. Throughout the series before the injury, he's been taking this shot. This three-point shot has been something he's been taking. But lately, he's been backing off, but he says, I'm going to be patient. I'm going to get a better shot or a better opportunity for our teammate, because 2 shots he passed up. So now you have Embiid freezes in the middle. He doesn't have an opportunity to come over, he stays in no man land. Siakam says, okay, I'll roll, get an easier basket to get myself going. Again, he's wide open. They're not gone. He's been hitting this three-point shot throughout the playoffs. But no, I'm going to be patient because we need to get the ball and let this guy touch it. We got to let Kawhi touch it. And then once he touches it, then I can start moving around and finding my place around the rim and do something for others. Again, if you're going to put Embiid on him, and I will guarantee he'll start taking a three-point shot because now the in-between is going. So I still think I won.
Look, nothing wrong with the silver medal.
I don't know, man.
Nothing wrong with the silver medal.
I won.
Hey, listen, let me tell you, as a man who has a couple gold medals, you get more money if you try to pawn the silver.
Oh, here's.
I don't know.
Well, that was a late break by you.
Look at that form, Ernie.
Oh, look.
That's the way Carl Lewis used to do it. He kicked it down.
I'm looking at Chuck. I gotta look 3 ways now. That's not.
Closing
I gotta look 3 ways, man. I gotta wake up.
Look, Ernie, look. Look at
It
that.
was closing speed.
Get him, Shaq.
He out-touched you.
Yeah.
That third angle was conclusive.
Run through the tape.
Let's do it again. Let's go right back.
Nope.
Man. Okay, Joel Embiid, as we get back to business over here.
Listen,
2 out of 10 in the first half.
Philadelphia is lucky Toronto is shooting 34%, and they're also lucky to be down by 4 because Chuck knows this, even Kenny knows this. When you're, playing on the road,
Even
Game 7, you cannot settle. He's been settling the whole time, and I know he's going to hear he's going to be a little sensitive, but we know what we're talking about. This is settling. You're 7 foot 260, punish somebody on the inside, or get double, kick it out to somebody for the 3. Now, when you miss your first couple jump shots, that means you're off. So you got to go to the paint, get fouled, go to the free throw line, make a couple of free throws, and get your rhythm back. Right now, he's settling. But, again, to only be down by 4, he's lucky.
Both teams shooting 34%, a combined 7 for 30
so
from
happy,
deep. Yeah, well, it was almost like just a last second.
He puts up the #1 finger and everything.
Yeah,
man.
That's what happens when you come in first place.
Yeah,
When you come in first place, you put up the #1 finger. Yeah,
I got to look 4 ways now. Next
Yeah,
who's going to be racing me?
Kenny hasn't won a race since February.
Oh, my goodness. Let me know who's going. Just let me know who's going. That's all I'm saying. We're not taking.
The American
Sixers haven't been to the Eastern Conference Finals since 2001. Tonight, Joel Embiid will try to lead them there, but it will take a win in Toronto. Kawhi Leonard averaging 34 in the series, and Toronto allowing the fewest points per game in the playoffs. And outside Scotiabank Arena in Jurassic Park, the Raptor faithful have gathered in hopes of celebrating a second trip in 4 years to the Eastern Conference Finals. It all comes down to Game 7. Game 7, Sixers and Raptors, coming up at the top of the hour, called by Kevin Harlan, Greg Anthony, and Roz Gold on Woody. While here inside Studio J, TNT NBA tip-off presented by Auto Trader. Ernie Johnson, Shaq, Kenny, and Charles. Love these Game 7s.
I hope ours is good as the one we saw earlier today.
Yeah, which we'll have highlights of later. And Mother's Day. And it's a special day. And look, I know for two guys on this set, it's all memories. And thinking about you guys all day today. But when you go through a day like this, where I celebrated with my mom, who's 90 last night. And yeah, Lois is 90. My wife Cheryl, the mother of our children. My daughter Maggie is a mom. My daughter-in-law Quinn is a mom. My sister Dawn is a mom. Happy Mother's Day to all of them. And I know you saw Lucille, Miss Lucille.
And I want to say thank you to Charles, because Charles treats my mother like he treated his mother. I came home with a big bouquet of flowers, and I get in the damn house, and Charles had already sent them.
Yes, and Cheryl Ann texted you and said thank you, too.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
No doubt.
Damn, he beat me again.
He beat me.
And
yeah, great day, man. Great day for all the mothers. And just, you know, the memories that we have, you know, they last forever. And, you know, everything that embedded inside of me, I'm sure Charles would continue it, is, you know, that will, that sacrifice, that fight, that unconditional love. That's where I learned it from.
No doubt.
My appreciation for a higher being, you know, all through my mom, you know.
And I also think about your dad on a day like this.
Yes.
Yeah. 'Cause
I
I know,
appreciate that.
yeah, you got great parents.
Yeah, no doubt. And what better way to spend Mother's Day than watching NBA hoop? In 2001, the Milwaukee Bucks advanced to the Eastern Conference Finals and waited to see who they would face. The Raptors and Sixers needed to play Game 7. Sixers won by a point. 18 years later, same scenario. The Bucks are in, and the Sixers and Raptors will square off in a decisive 7th game. But unlike 2001, this one will be in Toronto, where the Raptors have taken 4 out of 5 from the Sixers this season, 2 out of 3 in the series, and have held Philly to just under 93 points a game in that gym. For more on Game 7, we head to Toronto. Roz Gold on Wood standing by. RGO, what you got?
Well, this series, we are seeing the maturation of Joel Embiid. You know, tonight's his first ever Game 7, and he told me he's really excited. He feels that his responsibility, he said, is to do everything on offense and defense. He says, if I bring it, my team will follow. He's grown a lot in this series. That Game 4 and 5, he said he felt like he let everybody down, especially after Game 3, where he was doing this and all of this. He was like, I felt after Game 3 like I figured out their entire defense. 6. And then for game 4 and 5 to not bring energy, it hurt him. And of course, speaking of hurt, he was dealing with his knee, his stomach, upper respiratory illness, and he responded in game 6. But yesterday, I sat down with him and we discussed the conversation that all of you guys had in studio, that a star player should not be complaining so much about weakness or sickness because it draws the energy out of the room. And here's what Joel had to say.
It's a lose-and-lose situation. I mean, if I'm so bad that I decide not to play, and I'm sure they're all calling me. Everybody's calling me all type of names, soft. Can't really worry about it. I mean, that's why they're on TV. I have a lot of respect for them, especially Shaq and Charles. He doesn't know. He doesn't know what he's talking about sometimes. He just be saying whatever he wants to. But I have a lot of respect for them, man. It's fine. That's their opinion. That's why they're on TV. Everybody has opinions, and I can't really worry about it. And I just got to focus on my team, man, winning this series.
Charles, he poked some fun at you, but overall he said he has a lot of respect for all of you, especially you, Shaq. Guys, what's your reaction to all that he had to say and what you feel he needs to be tonight in Game 7?
All right, Roz, thank you very much. Shaq, we'll start with you. And so you're Joel Embiid and you're on the road and it's Game 7. What's your mindset?
Well, the youngsters need to understand that when we criticize them, we're actually giving them the answers to the tests. See, some of these guys are so sensitive, they don't really hear what we're saying. I learned not to complain because my father's a military man. You ever heard of Walter Reed Hospital?
Yeah.
So I go to Walter Reed Hospital. He used to take me there every year, and I see amputees and these guys. These guys wanted to go back to war. And on the way back, he said, son, you should never complain. You make a lot of money, you do a lot of things, you should never complain. And as I go back to when I was younger, watching all the other players, I never seen the other greats complain. You never heard Michael Jordan say, oh, I have the flu. Like, he just came out and he performed. He got 45 points. So what we're saying is, you're a young guy, you make a lot of money, play, represent. You don't have to complain about aches and bruises. Charles has said this many times. We all have aches and bruises, but the great Kenny Smith has said, this is where you make your fame. So, if you lose, nobody's gonna say you lost because you had the flu or you had upper respiratory. They're gonna say you lost because you didn't play well. So don't
Maybe
complain.
that close to game time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, right before the game. Kicked off at less than a half an hour.
Yeah.
He's eating. That's interesting.
Interesting.
Well, first of all, listen, it's interesting about all these young guys today. They never call on us and say, hey, thanks for the kind word and telling me how great a player I am. But when they play like crap and we call them out, we don't know what we're talking about. Listen, I'm easy to find. I've always said he's a hell of a player. If he can stay healthy, he's going to be one of the greatest ever. If he can stay healthy. The verdict's still out on that. But I get sick of these guys complaining. These young guys, they never call us and say, when I bragged about him and Ben Simmons a few years ago, saying they're going to be the future of the NBA, he didn't call me and say, hey, Charles, thanks for the kind words. But listen, I'm going to criticize guys if they deserve it. And listen, they can kiss my ass if they don't like it.
Happy Mother's Day to you. So, Toronto wins this game if, Kenny?
They control the pace. As much as Joel Embiid has been the focal point of what's going on between all the things that Roz just said, the most important thing to me, is Ben Simmons. When he is playing at a pace that make Jimmy Butler and J.J. Redick comfortable, and Tobias Harris, they've won. When he's been slowed down and they play half court, their entire team has suffered. And we just saw a game where Damian Lillard didn't score well, but he controlled the pace of the game, he got others involved, and he let C.J. McCollum become an offensive juggernaut. Because the pace of the game, he still was able to get guys into it. And if Ben Simmons doesn't do that, and Kawhi Leonard slows him down, it will be curtains for the Philadelphia 76ers.
One of the things that we talked about before the series started was looking back at the regular season and Ben Simmons, the trouble he had when Kawhi Leonard checked him and he had like 8 turnovers per game. There have been 3 games in this series when Leonard's been on him for at least 25 possessions in a game and Simmons has not turned the ball over in those games. How about rebounding? Because Kyle Lowry says it, Marc Gasol says it, Nick Nurse says it. He says you cannot let Philly continue to dominate the boards. That's going to be the key to the game. What do you say?
Yeah, I do think it's going to be the key game. But, to add on what Kenny is saying about Philly, when you're on the road, you as the two main players, you have to make the others feel comfortable. If you just come out and play your game, as the game goes along, the others will be more comfortable because it's going to be a hostile environment. Toronto's going to have their runs, but if Embiid comes out and plays like he played in Game 6, and Ben also gets in double figures and get rid of those triple singles, they have a chance.
Can Philadelphia win this game on the road?
Oh yeah, they can win the game because it's going to be interesting.
But will they win the game?
Obviously, I don't know the answer to that. If you're going to make me hold my feet to the fire, I'm taking the Raptors. But to me, it's going to come down to the role players for the Raptors. Siakam, Kyle Lowry, Marc Gasol, because I don't think Brett Brown's going to let Kawhi get 35 to 40 points. I wouldn't if I was a coach. I'm going to make those other guys beat me. Kawhi's not going to get 40 and beat us.
So you're going to double team him?
Yes, I am. I'm going to make those other guys make plays. As for the Philadelphia side, to me, it's going to come down to Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris. That's what they were bought in for. Philadelphia got this far last year with Embiid and Simmons. They bought in Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris for this Game 7. And on the flip side, this is what Toronto bought Kawhi Leonard in. This is what you bring a superstar in for a Game 7.
And there's a big picture scenario on this too for Kawhi Leonard and for the Raptors.
Listen, I hope Toronto's my favorite city. I hope he stays there. But I think this is more because if Kawhi Leonard leaves there, I think it'll be the end of basketball in Toronto personally.
Well, I would add this. LeBron James has left the Eastern Conference. The Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis has said, we're taking over it. We're going to take it over. These are the other two teams who were primed to take it over, along with Boston. Boston has fell off, and these are the teams. So now you have to say, if you can't get there without LeBron being there, you'll never get there.
Game 7, Sixers and Raptors coming up at the top of the hour. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Santino.
Thank you, Santino.
For cleaning up that one. And
Yeah,
of
remember
course,
that.
who can forget that with Jesse Ventura?
Yeah.
On Listen Up.
Oh, yeah. Another show you and Kenny ruined.
The one season of
Give me that.
Listen Up. Who can forget it?
Where was that, Ernie?
C.J. McCollum, what a day as the
was that,
Blazers knocked out Denver. It was several years ago.
It was a terrible year, whatever.
Let's give you a live look at the court. Mile High City, Pepsi Center, the epicenter, for the first of 2 Game 7s today. Let's hear from Denver Nuggets head coach Michael Malone.
You referenced Game 82 a lot this year. Going back to that moment, in the wake of that loss, did you ever think that you guys would be on the doorstep of the conference finals?
We use that loss as motivation. Motivation to become a better team, an improved defensive team, and most importantly, a team that can make the playoffs. I think as this season went on, we realized pretty quickly that we have a chance to be a special team. And the amount of growth that we've shown in so many areas has been remarkable. And so it quickly went from we want to be a playoff team to, well, we're not satisfied with just making the playoffs. Why set our goals so low? We felt we could be a dangerous playoff team, a team that could advance. And when you had a chance to literally beat, aside from Milwaukee, every of those really great teams out there, it gives you confidence. So, winning against San Antonio in a Game 7 at home gives us confidence going into today. It'll be a completely different game, I'm sure, but we have a very young, very confident, very resilient group, and I think we've shown that time and time again.
Coach, in that same vein, when did you guys know that you were a special team? At what point in the season did that kind of click, that you guys had a chance to really make something special happen here?
I think there were just many moments that, started to accumulate. And, early in the year when, you can go on the road and win in Portland, win in Toronto, beat Boston at home. Those were signature wins, if you will, even when we beat Golden State at home early with some of the injuries that we had. And that was, I think, key. We had so many guys out for extended periods, and other guys stepped up. I mean, what Monte, what Malik, what Juancho, and all those young players did this year for us to be in the position we were in and are in is remarkable if you think about it. But I think it wasn't just one moment. It was just as we started to get these big wins, winning on the road, second night of back-to-backs. You know, I mean, going from at Houston to Miami and winning in Minnesota the second night of a back-to-back. Tough games that we had a hard time winning in the past, and we were winning them this year. So it just was an accumulation throughout the season.
Mike, when you look at this team and where it is, has the process been accelerated by this postseason, or is it still something where you can look at it and have them on a certain track at this stage of the career for the collective group?
Yeah, I think it's a really, really good question. I think for a lot of our fans, I think it's probably been fast-tracked. You know, I think there's going to be, well, you know, no matter what happens tonight or this afternoon, you know, there's the assumption, well, we did it this year, should be no problem next year. And for those of us who have been in the game a long time, you know that nothing is ever guaranteed or promised. So many things change in an off-season. But I think this is year 4. This was a year that we felt we had to make a big push, and we have. The fact that we've done it organically, internally, from within, and growing our own players has made it that much more satisfying. But, you know, we're never afraid of a challenge. We know that no matter what happens today and moving forward, that going into next season, year number 5, the pressure and the expectations will be more than they were this year, and we won't shy away from that.
Mike, aside from the obvious, Stewart.
All right, that's Michael Malone getting set for Game 7 today against Damian Lillard and the Blazers. Tip-off is coming up shortly. We got more to do here on the pregame show, and don't forget, as soon as the game's over in Denver, come right back here for full post-game coverage on NBA TV.